Hey, bro. So, how much was the first wholesale deal again?
$3,619.02.
And 2 cents. And so what marketing source did that come from?
That came from a bandit sign.
Bandit Sign.
Yes,
Wholesale 2
yes.
million family. What up? What up? What up? Happy Monday. I decided to start off a little bit different today. Before I bring Richard on to share with you guys his stories, how he closed his first wholesale deal, the nitty and nitty, like the whole entire story, kind of where, kind of his background, and then how he closed his first wholesale deal, break down everything for you guys, how he found the seller, how he found the buyer, and all of that for you. If you're new to the channel, smash that subscribe button, turn on your bell notification so when I upload a new video or when I go live, you get notified. Also, too, if you haven't followed me on Instagram, hit me up on IG. Go to Khang, Khang dot, like a period, WTM. And if you recently closed your first wholesale deal, man, either hit me up on Instagram or shoot me an email at wholesale2millions at gmail.com. Show me the money, which means is send me over a picture of the checks. That's right. And a
That's
picture of the
right.
checks. And I would love to get you guys onto the channel. The reason why I do this, you guys, is to help motivate, inspire, and let those of you who are having a tough time getting your first deal, or you haven't got your first deal, maybe you're on the verge of maybe giving up. Dude, I don't want to use that word. No, no, no.
Give
So
up.
this is to let you guys know that, hey, it's not just the big guys that are doing this, but regular average people like you and I are doing it, and they're doing it in your backyard, and they're making the money wholesaling, and that you too can do it. And I want to keep your hopes up and keep the belief up so you can keep rocking and rolling. Richard, I'm going to let you take it over, man. So you guys put your thumbs together throughout this interview. If you like it, you find any value, boom, smash that thumbs up and
Right.
show my guests some love. And if you don't, give it to us like it is, man. Give us a thumbs down, get out of here, and watch something else. Richard, man, I'll let you take it over, bro. Go ahead, man.
All right, man. So first of all, let me say thank you, man. I can say I've arrived. I finally arrived. I told my wife, I said, listen, I'm getting on Kong's show. I'm getting on it. I said after we closed our first deal, I had two hit lists. I said Kong is one of them. And you familiar with the Flip Man at all?
Oh, dude, absolutely. I got him onto the channel. He's a cool dude.
Yeah, so I was like, it was you two guys that I really that paved the way that I was watching. As far as I got caught on to like Max, like kind of later.
Yeah.
But you guys, it definitely was like that. They laid the foundation as far as this wholesaling thing, man. So
awesome, man.
I go by. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Hey, Richard. First of all, before you get into it, man, I want to say thank you, bro, and also too, man, I want to say congrats, dude. Congrats, bro.
Yeah. Yeah.
So now, Richard, so where are you based out of, man?
I'm in St. Louis, Missouri.
St. Louis, Missouri. So any one of you in the St. Louis?
St. Louis, Missouri.
So Richard, I want to know kind of your background story first, man, and then leading into your first wholesale deal.
Okay. So basically, like I said, I'm from St. Louis, Missouri. Right now, I still have like a regular 9 to 5, and just doing that grind. I knew that I didn't want to stay in the rat race of the 9 to 5. So right now, I'm a security specialist at the Emerson Corporation. It's a multi-billion-dollar corporation. I'm compensated very nicely there, but it's the whole thing of just being on someone else's, time clock, trading time for dollars, that kind of thing. So I used to do music. I was like a songwriter, and I was a rapper out here. They knew me out here, Con. They knew who I was. So I had different opportunities that came in music, and I got presented a contract, but it was like one of those 360 deals. Kind of like it wouldn't benefit me short term or long term. So I was like, okay, well, I knew I wanted to get into real estate, but I thought that you had to have like buku cash, your credit had to be like a 9,000 or something like that. So I was like, okay, so I'll take the money I make from music and then just put that into real estate, right? So my wife, she's in the car one day, and she hears like this advertisement on the radio, and it's from this company that's like, hey, you want to learn how to do real estate, this, that, that, you followed our methods and our tricks and our techniques and all that good stuff. Then come on down to this, I think it was a 1-day workshop? I think it was a 1-day workshop. And matter of fact, they're on tour, as I say, tour. They're on tour coming back to St. Louis. I think they'll be here in like another month or so or something like that. So the company is Fortune Builders,
yep,
with which is Than Merle and that good stuff. So we go to the workshop, and they're just giving you a bunch of filler. Basically, hey, I called it was a boasting session. Like, we doing this. We just got this house for XYZ, and we made $100,000 off of it, and you can do the same thing. So I'm like, I can? I'm like, well, you know what? Maybe I can. So I found out that you got to have that your kind of money to do what you're doing, right? So the workshop ends, so they upsell to another package, which is a 3-day. It's a 3-day. They call it they made it like it was an end all be all for everything you needed to know and learn about what they do, how they do it, and how simple it is, right? So we sign up for the 3-day event. It was maybe, I want to say maybe around $400 or something like that, $300 or $400. So we go to this, we're excited. I'm one of those that enjoy meeting people, talking to everyone, finding out what they do. So we're at the 3-day event just to find out that we still don't have the kind of money to do none of what you just taught us over this 3 days. So at the end, they upsell everyone, come to the back, and this is where the real value comes in, and where you'll learn everything. We're pulling back the curtains, and we're going to just give you all of our tricks, secrets, all that. I'm like, well, I thought that's what this was for. Apparently not. I'm like, okay, you know what? It's education. I'll spend another $300 or $400, whatever it is, to go on. So we get back to the desk, and the lady says $25,000. So I'm like, okay, that's $25,000 subtracted by $23,000, right? Like the math got to be off somewhere. So they're like $25K. So me and my wife, we looked at each other. We was like, well, we enjoyed the cold sandwiches and the hard cookies, but we don't have $25,000 to spend right now. So one of the guys, they have someone that calls and follow up. So this is how we found out about wholesaling. So the guy's like, well, hey, listen, you give us $15K, we'll teach you XYZ or whatever, and it'll just be kind of like your halfway start to the program. So I'm like, listen, I don't have $15K. I'm like, I can't do that, man. Like it's hard out here. So he says, well, what I would recommend is you can do wholesaling. So I'm like, wholesaling? I'm like, does that involve a boat and a sale? I'm like, what are you talking about? Like wholesaling? Like, it's not dealing with prostitution, is it? Like, what wholesaling? Like, what is he talking about, man? So he said, it's a fast way to generate capital in real estate. And then once we gather up all this cash, then we'll just give them the $25,000. So I'm like, okay, well, how do we find out about this wholesaling stuff? Because they obviously didn't have a course on it. They were just more so fix and flip operation. So he tell us, we can go online and find out about it, go on YouTube and that kind of good stuff. So that's when we initially found out about wholesaling, and that was in 2013, right? So we're going back in a time capsule here. That was in 2013. So we're on the internet, we're online, and we're typing in, wholesaling, different things, and you have a plethora of information. Everybody's telling you what you should do, what you shouldn't do. Don't listen to that guy. Go here, cross that eye. Everything is like, I'm like, okay, who? So what I did, And what I recommend to everyone, you pick one or two guys that seem relatable to you, that kind of share the same, your personality traits. Like if, for example, Khang, you're full of energy. I'm the same way. I'm like, because everything is about, I'm just excited about opportunities and what's to come. And just waking up, I was happy. I just got done eating some Krispy Kreme donuts. I was excited about it. I don't know why. It's off topic. But so we found out about it in 2013. So we're on YouTube and we're studying and we're doing all this. But in the back of our minds, we still have that 3-day stuff that we learned from fortune builders, right? So we're talking to realtors because that's what they said to do also. But we're still in the process of learning wholesaling. So we're thinking the two are intertwined. So we're talking to realtors and they're showing us these properties and we're like, yeah, we're going to get a deal. It's coming. I feel it. I feel it. I know it's coming. And so we want to go ahead and move on this one property. It was a great property. The ARV was like $700,000. We could have got it for I think $250, something like that, $300,000. So the realtor wanted us to put down $1,000 in earnest money. So I'm like, $1,000. I'm like, all right, we got to do it. So we run on down to the bank, get a cashier's check for $1,000. So I'm excited. I'm about to cry. I'm walking around with a bucket so I can catch tears. I'm like, man, it's about to happen. It's about to happen. I can't believe it. Even though nothing was going on. I'm just excited about being excited for something happening, right? So go down. I meet with the realtor down in her office, give her the cashier's check, right? So I'm like, everything is going fine. Just to find out that the bank is like, hey, hold up, wait a minute. You can't wholesale a bank-owned property. So I'm like, what? Wait a minute. What difference does it make as long as you're getting this property off of your books? That's what I'm thinking. But apparently they do care, and she had to give us back our $1,000 in earnest money. So we went back to the drawing board. Then that's when we really came across, we came across the flip man first. And then we started watching the different stuff, his videos and all that. And, so then we came across your videos also. So I'm like, but we came across your videos a little bit after. So when we came across Flipman, we started doing some of the stuff that he was saying as far as putting out the bandit signs, because I believe that was his only way of saying that you can market to people is well, that's the method that he uses, was bandit signs. So we're doing the bandit signs and we're just all over the place without being consistent. We go out putting out 10 signs, feeling like job well done, baby. Job well done. I know the phone's about to blow up. Crazy enough, we got some calls, right? But I didn't know how to to follow up with those leads. I didn't know what to say to them. I didn't know how to talk to them as far as real estate verbiage, right? So they're calling. I'm like, okay, let me call some of them back. I'm not knowing what to tell them, not really knowing how to evaluate the property, because we were getting apartment buildings, people who wanted to sell duplexes and quads and that good stuff. And I'm like, well, no one said anything about duplexes. They just said single family. So I'm like, that's not a good lead. It's not a good deal. Little did we know. So we were very inconsistent with the marketing. So we're like, man, this stuff can't work. It's not working. Next person that shows a big check, we're gonna block them, or we're gonna just leave some crazy comments. It's a scam. It's fake. It's fake. It's fake. It is fake. So fast forward, I say the end of 2018, steady seeing checks, and so around that time, I'm watching you last year, going into last year, early last year. So I'm like, man, this dude is killing it, man. I'm like, but his demeanor, the way he carries himself, the energy is different from the flip man, because you can tell when the energy is a little different, because your excitement is a little different based off of how your bank account hangs. That's how I look at it. Not saying that the flip man not doing his thing. He's doing his thing, but the deals that y'all were, you guys were closing on was a little different. I'm like, well, let me pay attention to him. Let me see what he's doing. So you were showing these checks, and I'm looking at it, I'm like, yeah, it looks real. I'm like, that's a real check, man. So I'm like, okay, let me pay attention to what he's doing. And then I started watching like your videos with how you do the cold calling, which people really need to understand and appreciate the value in that. I can't implore that enough. Pay attention to, like, call in, whether you're scared, chicken, or whatever. Do it will pay off. Trust me. So started watching. So I said, you know what? We're going to take the company serious because I'm tired of trading my time for dollars. I'm tired of waking up every single day and, the company is expecting you to do this. And like where I'm at, they're mad because I won't take overtime. I don't want overtime. I want to put that attention and that time toward my company, which the name of our company is Home Today Properties. So started doing that. I said end of 2018, going into this year, I said, we're going to take it serious and we're going to do it full-fledged. This was in November of 2018. So 2019, I believe in like putting things on paper, writing them down. So me and some of our friends, we had a vision board party, which I recommend people doing. Do a vision board party, right? So we did a vision board. And if you don't know what a vision board party is, that's basically where everybody has a bunch of old magazines, new magazines, and you're going to need scissors, you're going to need glue, and you're going to need glitter. You probably do without the glitter, right? So, and what you're doing, you're cutting out pictures of houses, maybe, different sayings, different slogans, and you're just pasting them all on this gigantic board. And that's your vision board for what you're going to do short term, mid-term, long term. And one of me and my wife's immediate goal was to close our first deal before we hit the 6-month mark of this year. So we said we're going to go back to the drawing board, re-educate ourselves. We've been watching your videos like crazy. We're responsible for some of those views. So, because some of them, you have to rewatch and, watch again because you may not get that nugget at that time because you heard something before and you're still focused on that. And I'll go back and rewatch, re-listen. Okay, that's what he was meaning by that. So it ties in together, right? So we started doing that, and we just took it serious and we remained consistent. So we did the vision board party in January, right? So I'd say we decided to go ahead and purchase a batch of Bandit signs in, January, February, in March. Yeah, so we got our Bandit signs in March, and we were consistent every single weekend putting them out. So in May, January, March, April, May. In May, we had got a call from, we got quite a few calls, but everything that comes through your line isn't necessarily a deal. So we got a call from a brother and sister who were looking to sell their property. And that call, if you want me to go into that, or if you had any questions you want me to go into how that went, because that actually was the first deal.
Got it. Yeah, so, dude, Richard, man, first of all, dude, great storyteller, dude. I feel the energy. I love the story. I feel the energy. I love the story, bro. You're doing an amazing job, dude. So now, so that first deal. So the first deal is coming from Bandit Sign. So kind of share with everybody, not like the whole entire call, but how did it went? Like, did you yeah?
So when the seller called. Okay, so when I got because I'm still using the Google Voice, right? So if you one thing, you want to make sure that you have your line set up to where you're answering the calls as they're coming in, especially when you first start. When you come big time, then you get a service and all that stuff. There's companies that do that, but when you're small time, like we are right now, you have to make sure that you're answering the calls, and you can set that up on your Google Voice to where it will ring directly to your phone. You just have to go into your settings and set that up. So get the phone call, and it's a woman named her name is Dolores. I won't say her last name, Dolores, and she's like, yes, because on my signs I go by my moniker Rich C, RICHC dot Rich C. So she says, yes, I'm calling for Rich C, Mr. Rich. So I'm like, yes, this is Rich. She said, yes, my name's Dolores. She says, I have a house that I'm looking to sell, and I was wondering how much could I get for the house. So I thanked her for calling, and then I said, well, before we get to anything that's dealing with the price and all that good stuff, what we do, we like to get a feel for the property itself and you, because we feel like you're important. It's not just about a house with us. We like to build a rapport with the seller. I said that's what makes us different from these big time move into your city, just knock your house down, you don't matter, only the house matter kind of thing. So she liked that. So she got the telling me a little bit about herself and her situation, and what was important to me was why she wanted to sell. So I asked her why, and she was like, her and her brother, they're both on the deed. She was like, they're older, and they didn't want to play the landlord game and chasing people around for rent, that kind of thing. But then they didn't want to fix the money. They didn't have money to fix the property up, put it on the market, and, resell and that kind of thing. So I'm like, okay, well, we definitely can, come in and help you guys out with no problem. So after getting like just some preliminary information from her, and making sure that, they definitely were motivated to sell and wanted to sell, because a lot of people don't like to get prices over the phone. But to me, I feel like if I'm going out on an appointment, I have to know one of two things that's important. A, if we get this deal done, I mean, if it work out for us, then, hey, numbers wise, are you ready to move forward now? Like right now, like as soon as I come down with this pen and this contract. If so, yeah. And are you willing to negotiate? If you're just standing firm on it, then, I may follow up, because maybe your pain isn't at the level that I need it, right? So she said yes, that they were. So I set up a time to meet with them. Me, I'm one of those where I don't ask what works for you. I like to kind of navigate it. I'll say, I have an opening on Monday at 10 o'clock, because you don't want to put it out like you're desperate. Like, you know what, I'll do whatever it's like, or what works for you? Well, I don't know what works for me. Tell me what works for me. You're the professional. If you're doing this on a day-to-day basis, then you have to make them feel like that, right? But you don't want to come off as being too big, corporate, or none of that good stuff. So set up a time to go out, look at the property. So the brother's there. I didn't know the brother was going to be there. So I go out, introduce myself to him. We're talking, building rapport. I never even looked at the house until it was time to actually go in it, because I'm still working on my seller. I'm still building the rapport, talking to them, asking them, how their day has been gone and how great my day's been gone. I talk about my kids to her. And so we finally make it on the inside of the property, and doing a walkthrough, and the property was like, it was a really good property. Really good property. So I take the video, did my walkthrough. So when we come back out, we're in front of the property and we're looking at it. So the brother says, well, how much can you give us for it? So I'm looking at the property, and I pause for a second. I'm crossing my arms, I'm looking, and I say, I tell you what, I say, John, right? Your name's John? I said, only you know how you feel about this property. because it was your parents' house. What do you think would be reasonable to sell the property for? And then we can go from there, because I want to know how you feel, because again, it's about you. He was like, okay. So he says, well, I was thinking, I was thinking about 19, 20,000. So I was like, I can understand that. I said, okay, I can definitely understand that. I definitely understand why you would feel that way. So I told him, I said, well, do you know how much work it would take to fix the property up now to get it to at least what rental rates are demanded in the area? Well, he said, well, I got an idea. I was like, it's no problem, because I bring all of my data with me. I brought what rental rates are going for and pretty much how much it would cost, because you want to be able to explain to them why I'm only able to offer you what I'm offering you, because the seller is always going to look at it and view it differently than you, because they're not looking at it from an investment standpoint. They're looking at it from well, this was my parents' house. They paid the mortgage on it every single month, didn't miss a mortgage. They were cutting the grass, cleaning the gutters. So it's two different, it's like yin and yang. It's two different ways of looking at it when it comes to the why. So I break out the data for him, and he's saying, well, okay, well, yeah, I never, knew all of that. I'm saying, it's fine. I said, that's what I'm here for. I said, I got you. I said, matter of fact, I got both you guys. I'm going to take care of you guys. I'm going to make sure this is the smoothest transition you've ever had to go through in your life. And I said, the reason why I can do that and I can give you guys that is because I don't have a lot of overhead. And most importantly, we are a small local company that invests in the people who are investing in us. We invest in communities. So this property in particular is in an area that is considered, I wouldn't say undesirable, but it's higher in crime in that area. And it's harder to get investors to want to invest in that area but it's like I tell people all the time, I'm like, listen, if you were to get into your car, drive down the street in those areas, if you don't see kids playing outside, if you don't see other cars parked outside of those houses, then you may be on to something. But if you do see all of the above, if you see cars outside, you see kids playing, guess what? Someone lives in these areas. And this is for people who are just starting out, right? So you can't be discouraged by properties that are in what's called the undesirable areas. What you have to focus on is the investors and the landlords. Typically, they're going to be landlords who will invest in the areas. And I used to have the same problem where everyone's going after the exact same thing. I'll have like a buyer's list, and everyone's like, well, I only want, like in our area, the desirable areas are like South County and South City and that good stuff. And everyone has the exact same buyers, and they have the exact same criteria. So now you have a feeding frenzy where it seems like inventory is low because you have everyone competing. So and this is kind of off subject, but it's on subject as to how you can build a buyer's list for those areas that are not so much desirable. You drive those neighborhoods and you write down the for rent signs, but not the for rent signs that are by a management company. You write down the for rent signs that are, it's just the regular red and white sign, and then they wrote their number in marker. Well, guess what? That's a landlord. And guess what else? You call that landlord and you say, hey, I seen your property at XYZ Street. I see that you have it for rent. I'm actually not calling to see if I could move into it. I was just letting you know that I do get properties that are similar to the property that you have for rent now. And I was wondering if you were possibly interested in buying more property, adding to your portfolio. They're either going to say, yes, I am, or no, I'm not. And guess what? If they say yes, you got their number, and you ask them for an email that they check on a regular basis. And then guess what? Now you're building a buyer's list for what's considered your undesirable areas. And then you don't have to worry about only having to source properties or market the properties where everyone else is going to. Because what I had to learn is, okay, everyone has to live everywhere. So you can't focus on only the better areas. There are investors who will invest in the not so desirable areas. Now, it can't be like the entire block looked like it was hit with a bomb. You know, it can't look like that. But if there's a little crime and different stuff like that, write down the address. I mean, write down the numbers to the for rent signs and call that landlord and make him a proposition to, like, hey, you know, I can take care of all the grunt for you. When I bring these properties to you, when I present them to you, it's going to be a deal. And all I'm going to need you to do is sign on the dotted line and just show up with that divine cash at closing. And it's just off to the next one. Of course, they're going to take that. So back to this property. So I'm out there. I'm talking to the sellers, and I told you John, which is the brother. He's wanting like 19, 20K. So I'm talking to him, and I'm just bringing up the fact that the property needed a little bit of work, like a significant amount of work, actually. And one of the main points that I hit on was what would be the difficulty of it being in a not so good area. Now, of course, I know that you can still get people in there, and I already know that I have investors who will purchase the property right now, but I can't let them know that. You know, I have to show them what would be the pain point if they were trying to just, let's say, put the property on Zillow and market it themselves. They'd have a problem, but it's a lot easier when you have someone who already has a list of buyers and they can just pluck on the harp strings and make a deal happen for you. So I'm talking to him. We're going back and forth. So I'm pausing again, and I'm just looking at him. And he's saying, well, what are you thinking? You know, so I said, I'll tell you this. I said, I really like you guys. I do. I really like you guys. I'm like, I said, you know what? Like, I have to be myself. I have to be open and transparent, as I am with everyone. In a perfect world, I would love to give you the 19,000 that you want for the house. I would love to. It would bring my heart joy. But the reality of it is that I can't give you 19. He says, well, what can you give me then? What can you do? So I pause again. I'm like, I'll tell you this. I say, I can do $10,000 for you guys. So he says 10,000. He's like, oh man, I was thinking you would come down to at least 15. So I said 15. He said, yeah, at least 15 or 12. That's a large gap, 15 to 12, right? So I say, I'm pausing again and I'm looking at the property. I'm like, I really want to do this for you guys. I say, let me go back, talk to my partners. Let me go back and talk to my partners. I'm going to do everything I can to get you guys what you're asking for. I'm going to try. So I said, give me about 30 to 45 minutes to give you a call, but I'm really going to do everything I can for you guys. So we part off. I call them back and I tell them that I wasn't able to get the 15,000 approved. I said, but I did remember John said 12 to 15. I said, I did get the team to approve to $11,000. It wasn't easy. I got a lot of grunt and a lot of fight back on it because they were really, really strict to the numbers. But I told them that you guys are really good people and that we really do appreciate you guys choosing us to purchase your property. So they talked to each other and they came back and accepted the 11,000. So met back up with them that day, took them to purchase and sell agreement. It was a simple, it was a one-page purchase sale that the flip man had for free. And I downloaded it and I just made like certain like tweaks to it, like took certain things out that didn't apply to the deal at hand. And they signed it, and that was May 6th. And I went down to a title company, which this is like funny in itself. I took it down to a title company that they are investor friendly, but they had never done an assignment of contract before. So I took the contract down there, and on the original purchase sale with them, I put down that it would be $10 in earnest money. And it's funny because no one ever tripped off of earnest money until they see the slot filled out for the earnest money. Then it's like, well, wait a minute. Okay, why is it only $10? Because before that, it was no problem. So I just explained, I said, basically the $10 is something standard that we do. It's just so that way we can facilitate the deal. It doesn't make or break the deal whether if it's $10 or 10,000. It's just so that way we have to have a dollar amount to facilitate the deal. That's how you smooth it out. That's what you tell them if they're saying, well, why is it only $10? You just tell them, well, it's not going to make or break the deal either way. We just need this dollar amount so that way we have something in place so we can get the ball rolling so that way the deal is facilitated and I can take it down the title. So I have the purchase and sell agreement. So now I have to find my buyer because again, it's in a not so desirable area. So I created a buyer's list, as I said, of buyers who are in this area, well, investors rather, that are already in this area. So I say, okay, so I started marketing, but I didn't just market there. I market on Craigslist, and there was a couple of, I did Facebook Marketplace. I did, there was quite a few investor sites online. So my wife, she put the package together. It was a really good package because we break everything down to the numbers, which are ROI is your return on basically on your investment, what your cash on cash return is, the rental rates. It's a really good package. And it has all of the videos, pictures of the property, everything, the whole nine. So we're email blasting this out to everyone, right? So we had originally marketed the property for, I believe it was 19,000, and we have it under contract for 11,000. So we have it for 19. So the first week go past, people are kind of like calling, inquiring a little bit, or not really getting any bite on it. So I'm like, all right, it's been a week now. Like, okay, I remember quite a few of the videos I watched. It's like, hey, if you don't get a bite within the first 7 days, then you may not have nothing, right? So now we're coming up on, I believe it was a week and a half. So I'm sweating now. I'm like, good. I'm like, all right, okay. I'm like, what's going on? I'm like, it's a really great property. I get it. It's not in the best area, but it's a quiet street. You know, there's not a bunch of hooligans hanging out, all this other good stuff, right? So I had to remember that even when you work a regular job, even when you work a regular 9 to 5, those people that are older, that's been on a job for 30 years and 25 years, well, they have money. And they are cash buyers also. They can dip into their savings or to their checking account or dip into their 401k or their 403b and take out money. So one thing I do, I always talk to people and tell them what I do. And I upsell people, even when I don't have nothing to sell. I'm always upselling. Like, hey, you should be in real estate. You need to be in real estate. You need to be in real. I'm always talking to people because I figured, I'm like, okay, well, what are cash buyers? Cash buyers are just regular people with cash. They have money. They're not like people that float around on magic carpets with a halo over their head, and you have to wait till you catch one of them, you know, flat floating past. No, they're just regular people with money, man. So what do? You have regular conversations with people who have money, and you talk to them about the benefits of investing. So that's what I started to do. I'm like, hey, the buyer for this particular property, I'm like, man, how long you plan on sticking around here? So he's telling me his plan and all this stuff. And I'm like, yeah, man. I was like, I totally understand. I was like, one thing I tell people is that you want to secure your future. You want to secure your retirement. I said, you don't want to rely on the government to, you know, tell you, hey, we're going to cut you this check once a month for $700 a month, and then that's what you have to live on. If you want my opinion, I would invest in rental properties. I said, that's how you secure your retirement. And I said, most importantly, you are in charge of how you want to live. I said, you look at right now. This is what I'm telling them. I said, you look at right now. Right now, you're fine. You're comfortable. You're making a really good living. But what happens when it's time for you to retire? Will you be able to maintain that same level of lifestyle that you have, or will it decline a little bit based off of your pension that you're going to get and your little bit of retirement? I said, but if you invest in rental properties right now, then you're kind of putting your ducks in a row for the future. Then you can dictate, okay, I want to generate $7,000 every single month passively. And then you explain to them what's passively, and you make it sound good. It's like the phrase I always use. I'm like, well, passively is basically, it doesn't matter if you get out of bed that day. You're going to get that check at the end of the month, as long as you got tenants in your property. Doesn't matter what you're doing. You can wake up, not wake up, go watch Three's Company or Power or whatever it is you watch. At the end of the month, that check is coming. That's passive income. I said, what we're doing right now, my friend, this is active. If you stop, sneeze the wrong way, and your heart explode, guess what? The checks ain't coming no more. So he's feeling good about that. So I start showing people at the job the property who I knew I've already put a bug in their ear, and I'm already upselling them on the idea of after retirement. So I have a couple of people who want to see the property, one of them being my supervisor. So he's like, hey, don't show anyone this property. Don't show no one else. I want to make a move on it. I'm like, not exactly. I said, money talks, my friend. I said, if you're ready to pull the trigger, I got contracts in the car right now. Well, not. See, there you go. You said you were ready. You don't want me to show it to no one. So I said, okay, I'll respect that. So I did show it to someone else because I'm not going to sit around and wait for the balloon to pop in my face. So I go ahead, I show it to another guy, and he's ready to go see the property the following morning. Set up the time. We go see it, and just backtracking a little bit, if you can get the keys to the property and just put a lockbox on it or something like that, that way you don't have to keep on calling your seller and saying, hey, can you meet me at the property so I can like just do a walkthrough? I got investors. Even if you're telling them that it's like contractors or whoever, they don't care who you got going in there. They don't want to have to deal with the tedious process of having to travel across town and, just to let you in. So if you can get a key and put a lockbox on it, definitely do that, because then you have kind of like an unlimited range of what you can do with having, different people come down, see the property, that kind of good old stuff. So I was able to get a key, so that was gold. I was able to get a key. So we go down the next morning. He does a walkthrough. He's already like a hands-on handyman kind of type of guy. So he instantly walks in and just has the vision for what he wants to do. So he's like, man, he's like, yeah, I want to pull the trigger on it. He said, I want to do it. Now, he knew I originally had the property listed at 18. I had it at 19, and I had been dropping it down. And once I dropped it down, I started getting hits, right? So I told him, I said, well, okay, because I know you, because you always want to make it like you're doing them a favor. When you make it like you're doing them a favor, or you know what, you're getting a deal that I'm not going to give anyone else, they're going to stick to you. They'll spread word of mouth about you, everything. So I said, here's what I'll do. I say, right now I got the property listed at a certain amount. No, he came down to, he said he could do 15.8. So I knew I had already had the property drop down. I said, you know what? I said, would 15.8 be a struggle for you? 15,800. He said, no, it wouldn't be a struggle. I just do this, that. I said, let's do 15.5. So I told him I'd do 15,500. So with that being in place, that would put me at a 4,500 assignment fee, because I had it under contract for 11K and 15.5 for him. So I get him signed. As far as I did another purchase and sell agreement with him, I didn't do an assignment contract for him. I just had him do another purchase and sell agreement. So I take both copies down to the title company, and they're all on their high horse. Yeah, we deal with transactions all the time. We do this. One lady comes from around the back of the room. Yeah, this is just a flip. We know how to do this. I'm like, okay, no problem, whatever. So get all that good stuff done, get all the information. So time goes past, a little bit of time, few days. So always call and follow up with the title company to make sure everything is going accordingly. Call your seller, make sure that they're still feeling okay and the wind is still blowing them in the right direction. So, mind you, I had marketed the property online on Craigslist, this, that. So everyone is coming in saying that they're cash buyers, right? So we're maybe 2 weeks out from closing. So my seller calls me, and she's like, yeah, she called me Mr. Rich. She said, yeah, Mr. Rich, can you explain the process to me again? So I knew at that time someone had to have been in her ear, because you can tell when the dynamics of the conversation or how they talk changes a little bit. When people are either telling them, oh, well, you're giving the property away, or I can give you more. At least I can pick that up when I'm talking to someone instantly. So I'm telling her how the process works, and then she tells me that she's been getting phone calls from a lot of investors. So I'm like, really? I'm like, well, can you explain? It's like that. You ever seen that movie Grease? And like when they're telling a story, they're like, tell me more, does he live out of my, that whole thing. I'm like, well, tell me more. I'm like, tell me a little more. So she's like, she's getting phone calls from all these different investors who are saying that they can offer her more money than what we can offer her. So I'm like floored. I'm like, so this stuff really does happen. You really do have people that try to backdoor you. I'm like, wow. I didn't know if I felt happy the fact that I'm seeing that it works, or sad and upset because it's like they really tried to backdoor me, So I'm like, wow, everything on the video that they're saying that you guys talk about, really, like literally everything that I've seen that you said or either tied, the flip man has said actually happened. I got a piece of it out of this one deal, all of it. So I'm, explaining to her, why that is, and the whole thing as far as like, no worries. Those are just investors who did used to work with us, and they knew about this particular project that we were working on, right? To assure her that there's nothing to worry about. Her information isn't out there like just online or anything like that. So I'm sorry, give me 1 second, Khang. Hold on.
Sure, man.
So
I hope you guys are getting a lot of knowledge. I hope you guys are having a lot of information. Takes notes. Oh my gosh.
okay, I'm sorry about that.
Sure, man.
So I'm assuring her there's absolutely nothing to worry about. They're just ex-business partners who knew about this particular deal, and they want to be sneaky and go around us because they decided to go their own way and build a company. I'm fast on my feet. So, because you have to remember the entire time that seller is thinking that you work with a group of investors. At least that's what the pitch is. So if you're telling them, yeah, I put your property on Craigslist and I was just trying to see who would bite on it, they're like, what? It'll just open up Pandora's box of a whole lot of unnecessary questions and concerns. So you just segue into something like that. So I, reassured her everything was fine. And she assured me, she thanked me. And this is why rapport is so important. She said, well, I really do trust you. She said, I really do trust you. And I thank you for being open and transparent throughout this entire process, because I know that there may be people who probably would have done that and go around and cheated on the deal. But she was like, I really like how you have been with us throughout this entire process. You call, because I'll call and check on my sellers just to make sure everything is fine. I'll ask if they need anything, or if there's anything that they need explained that they necessarily may not understand. So when I got that phone call, that's how I knew someone must have been saying something, because I definitely make sure that they understand the process. So I put that away. I put that to bed, make sure that was fine. Now we're just waiting on the title company to go ahead and get everything, good on their end. So working with this title company, so they had it set up as if I was buying the property, and then my buyer would be buying it from me. I said, no, my young grasshopper. I said I would be assigning this contract. Well, what's an assignment of contract? I said, you guys told me that you were investor friendly and you understood how this works. So now my heart is like this. So a show called I Love Lucy, like Lucy, whenever Lucy got in trouble, that's how I'm feeling. I'm like, okay, my heart is racing now, because I'm like, I'm so close to the finish line, and you guys are ruining it for me. So I said, no, I'm assigning the contract to my end buyer. She says, well, you can't do that. She says, the only way you can do that is if you have something, you're going to have to go get something in writing to where your sellers are agreeing that they're going to be selling this to a totally different person. I said, no, I don't have to do that. That's not what I'm telling her, but I'm saying this in my mind. I'm explaining to her. I said, no, I said, it's stated on the contract that this contract is assignable. I said, I actually have it in two different slots on the contract that the contract is assignable. And I told her, I said, as a matter of fact, I said, any contract is assignable unless it says on the contract that it is not assignable. I know in Missouri anyway, in the state of Missouri. I said, so just go back, read over it, and you'll see. She said, well, I don't think you can do this. I'm going to have to send this to our legal team. So I'm like, oh my God. I'm like, this is going to take another like 30 days or something. I know how slow lawyers can be sometimes. So I'm like, oh my God. I'm like, come on, man. I'm like, feel like, come on, man.
Shit.
Like, right. So I'm like, all right. So she sends it off to their legal team, and she comes back a day later. She's like, everything's fine. I said, I knew that, genius. I'm like, I know that. I knew this. So she says, everything's fine. So we're just going to go ahead and process it as this. So here's where I kind of slipped up a little bit. I slipped up a little bit because I forgot to include the closing costs to my buyer, and like basically the closing cost period for the seller and the buyer. So I'm like, okay, so she gives me all of the entire amount that's due for closing for my buyer. So I'm like, geez, that's not what I told him. Ah, okay. So his cost came out to maybe like $700 or something like that. And then for the seller's closing cost, it was like 200. And then they were going to do something where they prorate the taxes for the following year or something like that. So I'm like, man, okay, yeah, wow. All right, so what am I going to do about this? Well, I don't have a choice. I can either eat all of that and have them take it out of my assignment. So initially, like I said, my assignment was going to be $4,500. So once she started deducting the $700 from my buyer and then the closing from my seller, I'm like, ooh, yeah, we got to make some phone calls. I said, I'll call you in about 30 minutes and I'm going to get this figured out. So I go back, I call my seller. My buyer, because I didn't bother the seller at all. You don't want to ruffle their feathers, discourage them, and tell them they're going to pay anything unless you absolutely have to. Then you go back to them and say, hey, we may need to renegotiate this. But I knew I necessarily maybe didn't have to. So I contacted my buyer and I'm like, hey, as far as your closing costs, this is what I'm going to need from you. So he wanted to know initially, why didn't he know about it up front? And I said, well, this is what I told him. I said, well, this is a new title company that I'm working with. And I said, they typically do things a little differently than the typical transactions that they normally have at other title companies. What they do, you don't find out what the closing cost is and all that good stuff until after they pull title, and then it's closer to the closing date. That's what I told him. So he says, okay, fine. How much is it? I told him that it was like $700, and I said we could split the difference, but he just liked the fact that he was getting such a good deal, and I've been pretty much, that rapport is very important. So transparent and open with him. He said he'll cover $500 of it. So he said he'll pay $500 of it, and we'll just pay. I think we paid like $219, and then we paid the $200 and some change from the seller. I said, you know what? That's not as big as a dent as just paying all of it. So I said, that's fine. I said, we're going to get this deal closed, so that way we can close this book of the book of knots, which not having a deal yet. I said, we have to close this book. I have to know that this is real. I have to know that it can happen. And then he said he'll pay the $5. I knew we would cover the $2 from there. So it was a done deal. So we're waiting on closing to come. We get the closing date, which was June the 6th was the closing. And he goes down, seller go down. I had him go down at 2 different times. That way they don't even have to worry about meeting each other, talking to each other, going out for coffee and finding out how much and who spent what on what. So I had his closing at 9. It was 9 a.m. and my sellers, they came in at like 2. And it was a good deal from there. And I went down, picked up my check. I actually made a video that I posted on my Facebook page of me being at the title company, picking up the check, and just did like a little video on it. And I'm sitting in the parking lot, after I get the check, and I was like, it just literally, every video that I watched of you, every video that I watched of Ty, and then the ones that I had started watching with Max, it just popped in my head. And the thing that popped in my head the most was the fact that how you guys would just make sure that people knew this business does work as long as you are committed and consistent. It's crazy how you'll hear mindset and you really don't understand how powerful or significant that word is until you actually use it. I mean, like when we decided that we're going to do it and remain consistent, boom, it happened. I was like, oh my God, I'm sitting in the car. And you remember that bucket I told you about earlier when we first started out that I'm thinking was going to happen. I had that bucket and it's just catching all those tears of joy, man. It was like, it was like the most incredible feeling. And here's the thing that felt the most incredible. I knew it was something that we could repeatedly do. It's something that I know that we could scale from. And I'm looking, and it's funny because the funny thing is, at where I currently work, we get paid every Friday. We're paid weekly. Multi-billion-dollar corporation. And again, I'm paid nicely. You know, we make a good living. We're doing about a little under 100K a year. And I'm looking, I'm like, okay, this is still 40 hours. And this was maybe 4 being the deal. When you just look at the amount of just back and forth phone calls, checking in, making sure that this is right. Because one thing also that I do, I sent in closing instructions with my purchase and sell agreements. And on those closing instructions, I detail who is who and what they are in the deal. And you want to put in like what's the difference, what you're going to make. That way they just have a little more clarity as far as that goes. But it was an amazing thing, man. It really was. But it's something that I see that you can wash, rinse, repeat, and do it all over again. And yeah, man, it's like I said, I'm looking at the checks, and I got paid that week. I'm looking at my phone, looking at my deposit, and I'm like, it's not rocket science which one that I need to focus more attention on. And yeah, that was the first deal. And after everything was deducted, the 200 and closing costs that the 200 on that end, and then paying some of the sellers, we walked away with $3,619.02. That
Awesome.
2 cents is important.
Absolutely, man. Richard, Richard, I want to say, dude, congrats, bro. Those of you, man, Richard has pretty much gave you guys all the details, a lot of details. For those of you starting out, if you'll call it lost or confused a little bit, I know we're running out of time here, so I do have some question for Richard, but we're running out of time. So I'll just leave it up to you guys. Comment below if you have any questions on the deal that Richard has shared with you. Richard, I want to say thank you so much, bro, for all the information, sharing your stories, walking us through step by step and getting into the details of the stories. But the one thing I want you guys to understand, out of the biggest thing that I want you to take away from this is huge. It's the negotiating part. Watch it again and watch it again. Exactly watch how Richard does his negotiating. It's huge. It's huge, all right? So, like I said, we're running out of time, but I want you guys to really go back because on camera, when you do that in person, how he does it, I mean, he makes me feel like, dude, his negotiating, dude, awesome, bro. I love that. So, Richard, how do people connect with you, man? How do people connect with you?
You can connect with me. I actually just started a YouTube channel, and on that channel, I'm going to just give my journey as far as what I'm doing, tips, advice, some that I've learned from you guys, the masters at it, and just my own intricate way of doing things, like how you were saying with how I negotiate. The name of that channel is called Rich C, and that's RICH space the letter C dot the Wolf of Real Estate. So it's called Rich C, the Wolf of Real Estate, and you can go on YouTube. And right now, I actually have a video of the property from my first deal. So when you go there, you'll actually see what the property looks like, and you'll see it's a really good property for what it is. You can also reach me. I have another channel that's called The Carruthers Way, and that's TheCarrothers Way, The Carruthers Way, and that actually is a separate entity from real estate. It's more so about cruising and just me and my wife. We're giving like tips, tricks as far as like cruising and taking trips, and also we're doing videos giving you just a little bit of insight of our life and what we do. Some reason people like enjoy the videos that we post, and they're like, we wish you guys would do more of it. They love our chemistry. So we said, you know what? Let's do a channel. So that channel is called The Carruthers Way, and Carruthers is spelled C as in cat, AROTHERS Way, The Carruthers Way. And if you're on Facebook, like all the other billions of people are, you can type in Richard Knoxx, and that's Knoxx is spelled KNOXX. I believe that's how I got it. So it's Richard Knoxx. And for some reason, like I said, I used to do music. So Fort Knox used to be my stage name. So Facebook, they won't let me change it to my moniker Rich C. So that's why it's still Richard Knoxx. So you know, if Mark Zuckerberg is watching, let me change my name, man. I want to change my name. So, but yeah, man, that's the story, man.
Awesome, man. I really appreciate it, man. Those of you guys, if you're watching all the way to now, you find any value throughout this video, show it or my guest some love, smash a thumbs up. Also, too, is leave a comment below with any question you have, and then Richard and I will do our best to answer it. Also, too, is those of you who haven't subscribed to the channel, come on, man. Shit. What are you waiting for, man? Smash the subscribe button. Turn on that bell notification so that way when I upload a new video or when I go live, you get notified. Also, to hit me up on Insta if you want to see some checks. Hit me up on Insta. Go to Khang, Khang like a period, WTM. Richard, thank you so much, bro. I really appreciate it. And then you guys, all the links to Rich's channel and all of that will be in the descriptions. Until next time, bro. Ciao, dude.
All right. Thank you.